Alhamdulillah, wassalatu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi ashabi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wa kul rabbi zidni ilma. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. I welcome all of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace, mercy and blessings of Allah be upon all of you. And today the session is how to integrate Islam in academic subjects, or in other words, how to Islamize education. And this session is especially for Islamic school teachers, the Muslim managed schools, and even the concerned parents, or any Muslim teacher for that matter, who wants to play a role in the spiritual development of his or her students. So basically, I, as an Islamic studies teacher, I have observed the importance of tarbiyah-based education and the pitfall of not having tarbiyah-based education in Islamic education, and just hammering knowledge and just imparting knowledge without tarbiyah. So I'm very glad to see the response of people, of teachers for this topic. When I advertised this topic, many inquiries and many suggestions came about, and I was very happy. So this session is very important, and I'm straight away sharing my screen so that you observe the points properly. And if it is possible for you, please be ready with the notepad, pen, and take down notes, inshallah. So here I am sharing my screen. Okay, so as I told you, the topic is how to integrate Islam in academic subjects, or in other words, how to Islamize education. For Islamic, this session is for Islamic school teachers, or even any Muslim teacher who wants to play a role in the spiritual development of his or her students. Now, what is the purpose of the talk? The purpose of the talk is to provide a framework for reform of Islamic education. Today, sadly, unfortunately, we see that our students, Muslim managed school students, or even Islamic school students, they lack in tarbiyah. And it is very sad that we see that there is no difference between an Islamic school student and a secular school student. So are we achieving the objective of running Islamic schools? We want our generation, our youth, to be dynamic Muslim personalities, leaders who will lead the ummah, who will benefit the ummah, who will benefit the society at large. But unfortunately, we don't see the results at all. So what is the reason behind this? What is the importance of tarbiyah-based education? Inshallah, we'll discuss in this online session. Now, we should even, along with teaching Islamic studies, along with teaching our students about Islam, we should even look to incorporate Islamic morals and values while teaching academic subjects. Tarbiyah-based education is what Islamic education is supposed to be. Yes, please note down this point. Tarbiyah-based education is what Islamic education is supposed to be. Without tarbiyah, there is, very little benefit of Islamic education. If we hope to secure our children Islamically, we should have tarbiyah-based education. Today, we see a crisis in our children's character development. That is tarbiyah. So tarbiyah in Muslim children, and surprisingly, even in children who study in Islamic schools. They lack the morals, the values. Many Islamic school children, if not all, they lack the tarbiyah. Now, furthermore, the system of education in our society has played a major role in the lack of strong character development in today's Muslim youth. Our secular education, our atmosphere here, it has played a major role in the lack of a strong character development. And unfortunately, this is also the case for the system of Islamic education. Even Islamic education lacks, you know, the development of strong character, right? So a good Muslim personality. Even the Islamic education system lacks that. It is a stark reality that Islamic education, as it is taught today, has been ineffective in teaching and inspiring Muslim children to adopt and adhere to Islam as a way of life and a system of social and personal values. So this is a stark reality. Even, the trend for Islamic schools started around 15, 18 years, and many Islamic schools were opened. Now, but what is the result? Alhamdulillah, there are many, students, many Islamic school students, they have excelled Islamically. But we find many Muslim children who study even in Islamic schools. They lack strong personalities, strong Islamic inclination, right? So this is a very important aspect to discuss. As educators, as parents, as teachers, we have to discuss this. We have to come to a solution, right? A conclusion. Now, importance of tarbiyah based education. Focusing on tarbiyah in Islamic education or Islamic schools or Muslim managed schools is the best cure for the moral crisis of the Muslim society. मुस्लिम माशरे में जो हम प्रॉब्लम्स देख रहे हैं, जो हमारे बच्चे बिगड़ रहे हैं, जो हमारे नौजवान बिगड़ रहे हैं, इसका सब में अच्छा क्योर है, इसका सब में अच्छा सोल्यूशन है कि हम हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम में तरबिया बेस्ड एजुकेशन को लागू करें. Maybe in Islamic schools, in Muslim managed schools, in whatever way we can, the teachers, the educators, we should focus on tarbiyah based education. In my experience as a teacher and consultant in Islamic schools, I have observed very closely how lack of effective tarbiyah program in Islamic schools has a detrimental effect on the upbringing of the children. MashaAllah, the effort is there. We see many Islamic schools being opened. Parents, teachers, educators, management, they have made an effort in opening Islamic schools, providing the best of syllabus, curriculum, textbooks, infrastructure, but they, many of them, they have not focused on tarbiyah based education. And the result is, unfortunately, the result is what we don't want. What the parents have some expectations when they send their children to Islamic schools. Yes, my child will become a good practicing Muslim or knowledgeable Muslim, and if Allah wills, inshallah, he will also be a leader among the people, among the ummah. He will be a benefit for the Muslim society, right? But because of the lack of tarbiyah based education, we are failing, right? I know, may Allah protect us, I know of children being trained as qaris, but after they leave school, they have become fond of music. I've seen with my own eyes, and there is no difference between an Islamic school student and a secular school student. So what have we achieved? Where are we failing? Right? Now, what parents Parents are not getting what they wished for. They have taken so much effort, 10, 12 years of, sending their children to Islamic schools, and the result is, zero for most of them. So what is the problem? Okay. The problem is, as I said, the lack of tarbiyah. For example, the child learns from the Islamic studies teacher that Adam, peace be upon him, is the first human being. Okay. Then from the science teacher, he learns the Darwin's theory. That is, the apes and the monkeys were the ancestors of human beings. So the child is confused, right? So here, incorporating or integrating Islam in academic subjects becomes very important. It is the duty of the science teacher, for example, to, in his lecture, when he explains Darwin's theory in Islamic school, he also gives an input that we as Muslims believe that Adam, peace be upon him, is the first human being, right? So these are very small things, but they play a major role in the spiritual development of the child. Now the child learns music is haram. Okay, not good. But at home, again, music is there, satellite channels are running on TV, the parents are watching with the child. So how will the tarbiyah take place? In the school, the child reads the Quran, learns the Quran. When he goes home, he is exposed to mobile phones. The parents do not restrict the child, okay, to use the mobile phone. Now, what tarbiyah is taking place? Who is doing the tarbiyah of the child? The mobile phone is doing the tarbiyah of the child. The satellite channel is doing the tarbiyah of the child. Right? So this is a major problem in our education system. Right? Now, important point, that is a disclaimer, that the parents play a crucial role in the tarbiyah process. Without them, tarbiyah is not possible. You send your child to the best of Islamic schools, you send your child to Makkah, Medina, universities. If parents do not help in the tarbiyah process, the tarbiyah will not take place. Now, this discourse, this session is to highlight the role of schools and or the teachers in the tarbiyah process. Okay, I am not demeaning the role of the parents in the tarbiyah process. Even in the Quran, if you read, the responsibility of the tarbiyah of the children is put on the parents. So many examples are there. The whole Surah Luqman in chapter number 31 deals with parenting. If you see, Ibrahim alayhi salam is doing tarbiyah of his children. Yaqub alayhi salam is doing tarbiyah of his children. Right? So many examples are there. So parents play a crucial role, and without parents, tarbiyah is not possible at all. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala holds the parents as the primarily responsible personalities in the child's life. Now, this session is for the schools or the teachers, how they can help about in the tarbiyah process. So, while teaching, I come to the Islamizing lesson plans, right? So, one of the important aspects of Islamic education is Islamizing lesson plans or Islamizing education. Okay? There are simple ways to Islamize or lesson plans, so that even an academic subject teacher, a math teacher or a science teacher or a geography teacher or an art teacher or an English language teacher, he has to incorporate Islamic aspects in his lesson plan. That is, he has to incorporate Islamic teachings in his lessons, in his teaching. Whatever subject he is teaching, he has to incorporate Islam. So that, is very beneficial for, the tarbiyah of the child. The whole day, every lecture, right? The child is getting some inputs about Islam. Right? This does not mean that the teacher, for example, the science teacher, he has to spend the major part of his lesson, 5-10 minutes in teaching about Islam. That will become an Islamic studies lecture. 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, I am very clear about this. 1 minute or 2 minutes or at the most 3 minutes. He has to put up a point. He has to incorporate a Quranic verse or a hadith or something about history of Islam, Islamic personalities, Islamic culture. So this way, or if he is teaching some contradictory thing mentioned in the textbooks which does not match with the Islamic teaching, he has to clarify that. So if this is brought about, this system or this implementation is done, then it will work wonders in Islamizing our education. Now, I want to share with you 5 simple ways you can make Islam more relevant in any class, in any subject or any lesson. Integrating Islam can be as simple as changing names and words on a test paper. This is very easy actually. We want Islamic integration to be our pedagogy, our system of teaching, the norm that informs our classroom culture. Now, these simple strategies, these inputs, actually are taken from the illustrious educationist Abu Amina Bilal Philips. Right? He is one of the greatest educationists in the Islamic world. He has started the Islamic online university, which has educated lakhs and lakhs of people. From his study, from his research, whatever I am telling, whatever I am sharing with you is taken from Abu Amina Bilal Philips. Right? So if you make Islamic pedagogy a regular part of your teaching, then it will work wonders. Now, there are 5 simple ways to Islamize any lesson plan. It is very easy. Teachers should not worry about the time factor. Okay, how will I do that? It's very easy actually. Inshallah, we'll learn about this. Time limitation. The teachers or the parents will get worried, right? How can I don't have time to complete my portion. I don't have to time to make lesson plans for my subject. How can I do this? Right? I get it, but you already have so much on your plate. You have so many things to do, but you have nothing to worry about. Right? These 5 strategies or these 5 ways can make it very easy for you. You can say, the teacher can say the curriculum is not flexible. The teacher can say, I have to cover everything in the syllabus. I don't have room for anything else. Or the teacher can say, or I don't have time to be creative and design a whole new unit. I have to make a whole new lesson plan now. Or she or he can say, I already have lesson plans that I spent so much time creating. Am I supposed to get rid of them? अभी मेरे पास इतने सारे lesson plans है, क्या उसे मैं छोड़ दूं, फेंक दूं? Right? So you don't have to do that. It is very, very easy. Right? So here sharing with you the strategies, the 5 strategies. Islamizing any lesson plan using one or more of these 5 strategies is an important factor in Islamizing education. First, you can incorporate in your lesson plan, in your teaching, a Quranic verse relevant to the topic or discussion. Any Quranic verse. Second, you can even incorporate a hadith relevant to the topic or discussion. You can then incorporate a historical relevance from Islamic civilizations and personalities. Then you can incorporate an Islamic moral lesson. Right? Then you can incorporate, you can make Islam part of the classroom culture. So how we can do that, inshallah, I will explain. You have to implement one or more of these 5 strategies. I'm not telling you to incorporate all 5 strategies. Even one is enough. In most of your lesson plans, more than 90% of your lesson plans, in more than 90% of your teaching, you should incorporate one or more of these 5 strategies. Now, step one. Step one. Those who want to note down can note down. Step one is incorporate a Quranic verse relevant to the topic or discussion. Be very sure to use verses from the Quran to make a connection between the topic of the lesson and Allah. If you're teaching science, if you're teaching water cycle, there are so many verses dealing with water cycle in the Quran. If you are teaching biology, there are so many verses in the Quran, dealing with biology. If you are teaching mathematics, there are so many verses, you can incorporate, you can present, uh, uh, connecting math with the Quran. If you are teaching history, there are so many verses in the Quran. Whatever, this is the beauty of the Quran, that the Quran has to, is speaking about everything, right? Now, what is the benefit now? See, the value of bringing the Quran into the classroom is that the child sees how relevant the Quran is to their lived realities in this world. And that is, the Quran is not just a book for reading, but it is a manual that explains and guides our lives. Knowingly or unknowingly, the child, realizes that the Quran is not just a book to be read. सवाब के लिए पढ़ने की किताब नहीं है. रोजाना वो सुन रहा है, वो कनेक्ट कर रहा है, ज्योग्राफी को कनेक्ट कर रहा है, हिस्ट्री को कनेक्ट कर रहा है, वो साइंस को कनेक्ट कर रहा है. कुरान में इतनी सारी चीजें हैं, right? The child realizes that this Quran is my guide in this world, right? Otherwise, what happens? If you don't bring the Quran into the classroom, the child will think that it is just a book, सवाब के लिए पढ़ना है, बस कभी कभार रमजान में ज्यादा पढ़ना है, right? So this is very important. Now, examples of how to incorporate Quranic verses in your lesson plan. Now, quote verses about mountains and their role in stabilizing the earth during a geography lesson on natural landscape. There are, for every aspect of this life, for every aspect of knowledge, we have a verse of the Quran. And today it is very easy. You don't have to be a researcher, or you don't have to be a great scholar to do that. Google is your best friend. Quranic verses on mountains. You can type and you will get the verse. So easy. Now, create mathematical word problems using verses that reference numbers. For example, Allah tells us that Prophet Nuh alayhi salam called his people to Islam for 1,000 years, save 50. Now, why is this verse like that? It's a different discussion, Very interesting. So, how many years was Prophet Nuh a messenger? So, for example, you can say there are the names of 25 prophets are mentioned in the Quran, right? So, you can, if you are teaching mathematics, there are so many verses dealing with numbers. So, you can give those examples. Now, get yourself another important tip is get yourself a Quranic index of words, so that finding the ayat about a lesson can be that much easier. There is one website, searchtruth.com. It has an excellent detailed Quran index. Now, whatever topic you are studying, you will always find a relevant Quranic ayah, and that is the beauty of the Quran, that it speaks to everything in life, regardless of time and place. And as I said, Google is your best friend, right? Alhamdulillah, today we have tons of sites dedicated to Quran and its connection to selected topics. One of the websites is Quran.com. It's even an app, okay, Quran.com. So you can get the Quranic verse, the translation, the word-to-word translation, the tafasir, the comments by scholars on a particular verse. So many things are there. Okay. Now, even there are also entire sets of tafasir for you to cross-check references and derive the correct meaning of the selected word. This is also a great way to add more value to the discussion instead of merely mentioning the ayah. The value of bringing Quran into the classroom, as I said, is the child sees how relevant the Quran is to their life. That is the best and the very important achievement by a teacher if he connects the child to the Quran, right? So after the first point, the second step, incorporate a hadith relevant to the topic or discussion. Now use prophetic narrations and traditions to support the lesson or enhance the discussion around a topic. There are hundreds of thousands of ahadith that speak on a variety of topics, covering every subject possible. The more children and youth learn about the Prophet, the more they grow to love him. They believe in him as the truth and follow his example. Now, Allah says in the Quran, the best example for you is the Prophet. Now, how will the child love the Prophet? How will the child take the Prophet as an example if he does not know about the Prophet? So, when you are incorporating a hadith in your lesson, now the child knows about the Prophet. He is getting to know more and more. And in this way, his love for the Prophet grows. Okay. So, the examples, for example, when teaching about water conservation, we can refer to the Prophet's order not to waste water even if you were on the banks of a flowing river. The Prophet said, अगर आप बहती हुई नदी के पास भी हो, उसमें भी वुदू कर रहे हैं, तब भी आपको पानी वेस्ट नहीं करना चाहिए. Now this hadith recorded in Sunan Ibn Majah teaches us about the sustainability practices of Islam. Now there are free online databases like sunnah.com where you find any hadith from the 6 books of hadith and more. You can just type it in the search engine, you can get the hadith on a particular topic. Your students may ask, why do we have to follow this man? It's unfortunately we hear, we can hear from our students, why should we follow Prophet Muhammad? So sad. Muslim students asking this question. That breaks our heart. Now why? Because no connection was made from the child to the Prophet, right? Even parents didn't make the effort. Even the teachers didn't make the effort. And if the child is attending a secular school, then the problem gets, it's a great problem then. How will the child know about Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? The child hadn't been taught the connection between how we live and act as Muslims and the teachings of Prophet Muhammad from a young age, right? And maybe it was the student's very first time attending an Islamic school. So this is very important. Incorporate a hadith, if you can, with relevant to the topic of your lesson. There are hundreds and thousands of hadiths that speak about, on a variety of topics. The more the children learn about the hadith, they know more about the Prophet, they love the Prophet more, and in this way, knowingly, unknowingly, with very less effort, the teacher is connecting the child with the Prophet, inshallah. Right? We go to the third step. Incorporate a historical connection from Islamic civilizations and personalities. Very few may have learned about Islamic civilization and the contributions Islam and Muslims made to the world, and particularly to Western civilization. Even Western civilization is indebted to Islam. Even after 15, 20 years of education, our Muslim youth have still to know about Islamic history. Right? It is so sad. Only one of the school had approached me to prepare a textbook on the history of Islam, the Islamic personalities we find in history. So this we are lacking. Almost all the schools, maybe I can say 99% of the schools, Islamic schools, they don't focus on Islamic history, the Muslim personality, right? And it is very important to inspire our youth, to inspire our children to develop their tarbiyah, you know, it is very important to let them know about Islamic history, about the Islamic, Muslim personalities, right? So learning about Islamic personalities and contribution promotes positive religious identity. It enhances self-esteem and confidence and inspires students to become agents of social change. Okay. So recently, I was giving a talk on 26 Jan about the Muslim contribution to the India's freedom struggle, and I asked the names of five, uh, Muslim freedom fighters, the names of five Muslim freedom fighters, and people were, the students were able to tell only one or two. So sad. Our students should be dynamic. They should be versatile, right? They know about the film stars, the sports stars, and every star, but they don't know about our Muslim heroes, right? The teacher can teach about or highlight Islamic history, Islamic societies, important Muslim figures, and their contributions during the lesson or throughout the unit study. Very important. Now, examples are, when studying historical eras, opt for Islamic dynasties like dynasty like Al-Andalus. Then we have the Umayyad dynasty, the Abbasid dynasty, right? So many. Then we have the Ayyubid dynasty. We have the Turkish Empire. So many things are there. We can incorporate that. Now, study ancient Egypt from the perspective of what the Quran teaches about the society, about the society Musa alayhi salam was sent to. You can mention the Muslim scientists, mathematicians, inventors relevant to the topic you are teaching. Whatever subject you are teaching, you are sure to find a Muslim. You are sure to find a Muslim who made a significant contribution to that field. For example, algebra. Algebra is an Arabic word. Muslims have contributed a lot in mathematics. Muslims have contributed a lot in science. So many things. It will require a lecture. We can speak for hours together on this aspect, the Muslim contribution to science, right? So unfortunately, even our teachers, even our educators are not aware of these things. I don't think I need to convince you of why our lessons should be filled with Islamic history and names of important Muslim personalities. Our children should see themselves in the curriculum. It not only builds self-esteem and confidence, but gives them determination and ambition to accomplish more. Our children learn about film stars, about sports stars very easily. They have their role models. People having a hairstyle, our students having hairstyles of film personalities or sports personalities. It's the mistake is ours. We have not introduced Islamic personalities to them. If we do not introduce our heroes, then they will take others as their role models. How many people know about Muhammad bin Qasim? Who was Muhammad bin Qasim? It's an homework for you, right? In the question answer session, maybe you can share about Muhammad bin Qasim. Who was Salahuddin Ayyubi? Who was Muhammad al-Fateh? Okay, you know that the film Dracula, Dracula was not only a film character, he was a real personality. You know that? And who killed Dracula? Muhammad al-Fateh killed Dracula. How many people know this? So we have our magnificent heroes. So we have to work on it, right? So we go ahead now, and how we do this? We can create a folder. We can create a database of Quranic verses, of the ahadith, or Muslim civilizations, or Muslim personalities, or you can have a copy. Tell your management to get a copy of 1001 inventions to which refer to Muslim scientists, the contribution of Muslim scientists, right? So many things are there. So we go ahead now, and step 4, an Islamic moral lesson. The secular educational systems took morality out of the curriculum, and the social and moral epidemics of the 21st century are one of the consequences of that. So we need to bring it back. हमारे मुस्लिम तहजीब, हमारी इस्लामी तहजीब, हमारे इस्लामिक कल्चर जो है हमसे छीन लिया गया है, हमारे बच्चों से छीन लिया गया है. ये जो सेक्युलर एजुकेशन सिस्टम का जो करिकुलम है, मोरालिटी, वैल्यूज, मॉरल वैल्यूज, goodness, righteousness are, have taken a back seat. So it is our duty to bring it back. It is of crucial importance that we incorporate a moral lesson, a takeaway in every lecture. A Muslim should always be striving for the highest of moral standards, and teachers can play an important role in developing a good moral character in their students. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, as mentioned in Al-Muwatta, the Prophet said, I was sent to perfect good character. The Prophet also said, as mentioned in Sunan At-Tirmidhi, nothing is heavier upon the scale of the believer on the day of resurrection than his good character. So these teachable moments can be found during reading your lesson by focusing on the actions of the character. Or instead of calculating how many candies Ahmad ate or how much Zainab spent, change the conversation to how much was shared or given as charity. A teacher can just give a twist to what he's teaching by changing the name of the characters, by changing the name of the items, right? By changing the perspective. It's very easy for the teacher. It's just a matter of changing our focus when designing our lesson plan. At the end of your lesson plan, before asking, how will I assess this lesson? Ask yourself, what moral point can I derive from this? Make sticky notes in your textbooks and handouts so you can remember to bring it up in the class. Once you start doing this with every lesson, it will become second nature. And inshallah, your students will pick up on the habit of reflecting over everything they learn or read. So this is very important. बच्चे को जो है, वो स्टूडेंट को जो है आदत पड़ जाएगी. जैसे मेरा टीचर देखता है कि हर कोई भी एस्पेक्ट हो वो रिलेट करता है कुरान से या हदीस से या इस्लामिक पर्सनालिटी से वगैरह, तो वो स्टूडेंट को भी आदत पड़ जाती है, राइट, ऐसा करने की कि हर चीज अपने जिंदगी का हर प्रॉब्लम, जिंदगी का हर एस्पेक्ट उसका वो रिलेट करता है इस्लाम से. तो इट्स सो ब्यूटीफुल, राइट? As teachers, sometimes we are so focused on covering the syllabus that we forget those precious moments of character building. Remember, quality is more important than quality. So get into the habit of creating an opportunity in every lesson to highlight, to teach, or to reinforce upright moral character. Be intentional about conveying the moral lessons during your planning, but also take the advantage of spontaneous teachable moments, right? कोई ऐसी चीज आपके जहन में आ रही है जो कनेक्टेड नहीं है आपके चैप्टर से, आपके लेसन से, फिर भी अगर एक अच्छी चीज है, बहुत अच्छी बात है, अगर आप बता सकते हैं 1 मिनट में, आधे मिनट में, 2 मिनट में, तो आप बता दीजिए, right? Even take the advantage of that spontaneous moment. Muslim students should constantly be nurtured on good morals in different scenarios and contexts. The idea is not to dedicate a lesson specifically to moral lessons, but to integrate it in every lesson. So remember that integrating is not changing the subject or changing the lesson plan altogether. It is a matter of only 1 minute, 2 minutes, or at the most 3 minutes. Okay? So the science teacher should not make his lesson an Islamic studies lesson, right? He should incorporate, he should use 2 or 3 minutes, right? 2 or 3 minutes, or maybe 4 minutes, okay? Just a few minutes of integrating Islam. Now we see examples of incorporating moral lessons. Now do character analysis of characters in stories and novels and make the reference to Islam's teaching of that particular trait. For example, an English teacher is teaching lessons and she has, a list of characters in her story. So one character is speaking the truth, or he is very kind, so that the teacher can relate these aspects of good character with Islamic teaching. Then incorporate moral lessons in problem solving exercise. Now, in a lesson on climate change, pollution, endangered species, war and conflict, immigration, etc., point out the human causes associated with these problems and the negative traits. The negative traits are the, because of the greed, the oceans are being polluted. Because of the greed of the human being, so many problems have, taken place. The selfishness, right? Now, the teacher can address these negative traits and present the Islamic solution. One of the very good tip is, at the end of your lesson plan, allocate a section to fill in what moral lessons can be conveyed through this lesson. Make sticky notes in your textbooks and handouts. As I said, that so that you know every lesson, look out for what can I impart, how can I impart one moral lesson from this lesson, right? So this is very important. The last and the final step, these are the most important steps. If the teacher, if any educator has any different method, then most welcome. These are the most important 5 steps of incorporating Islam in academic subjects. Step number 5 is make Islam part of the classroom culture. Okay, this step is the least we can do for integrating Islam in other subjects. The least, if you're not incorporating any other aspect, at least, instead of thank you, say Jazakallah khair, if you inshallah and all these things, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and sit properly, and lower your gaze, or whatever in Islamic aspects you can incorporate in your classroom, you can do that. Islamic charts, and put up the charts presenting Quranic verses, ahadith, all these things can be done at least while you are teaching. Now, as I said, this step is the least we can do for integrating Islam in other subjects, thereby developing a sound moral character in our students. It is so easy to make Islam part of the classroom culture. This can be modeled in your dress code, your mannerisms and conduct, the Islamic words and phrases you use naturally, or in the Islamic reminders you give when you want to advise students about any matter, like studying for a test or resolving a conflict with a classmate. For example, for tomorrow is a test, okay, my dear students, please pray this dua, Rabbi zidni ilma, tomorrow you have a test, come on. This is your classroom culture. And your dress code, the dress code for the teacher is, even, the Islamic culture, right? Islamic aspect, one of the Islamic aspects, your dress. The male teacher, if his trousers above the ankles, it's so great, right? And proper dress, loose dress of the teachers, observing hijab. All these, you can make Islam a part of your classroom culture. Also, the images and posters you display around the classroom can help promote an Islamic atmosphere. Visuals actually play a huge role in shaping who we are. So teachers should be purposeful in their classroom decor. They with intentionally, purposefully, we should put up charts and other decorations in the class. Promote an Islamic culture in the classroom by using Islamic phrases, customs, and props. The classroom environment is the cultural package you reinforce through the learning journey. Research shows that the more the school culture aligns with the students' culture, the better they perform academically. So if you incorporate all these things, okay, then the student even performs better academically, right? So what are the examples of incorporating Islamic culture in the classroom? Train students to say Assalamu alaikum instead of hi. Say Alhamdulillah after sneezing and replying with Ya Rahmakullah, etc. Begin presentations with Bismillah. So as soon as the teacher comes in, and start, okay, Bismillah, and she starts, or she makes the dua Rabbi zidni ilma, or she makes the dua Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli, and then she begins the class. It would be great. Now use the Islamic calendar in the class, or you can display wall posters, books, and decor that represent Islam and Muslims. So these are the important tips for developing Islamic culture in your classroom. You have so many websites, Pinterest and MakkahCentricEducation.com. So many places are there. You can, download. You can, take so many stuff from these websites. Now we come to the conclusion. Okay, whether you use all 5 strategies or just one, you can be sure to be consistent by allocating an Islamic connection section in your lesson plan template. Your lesson plan, the Islamic school teacher's lesson plan for any subject should have an Islamic connection in the lesson plan, right? So what Islamic connection did the teacher make while teaching today's lesson? So this can be a work wonders. That will really help you to be more intentional in your teaching. These are the most important 5 simple strategies to integrate Islam into any lesson without any difficulty. All right, and with Allah's help, you can, if you start doing this, if the teachers, the Islamic school teachers, if the Muslim managed school teachers, if they start doing this, inshallah, it will work wonders in developing tarbiyah of our children. Okay, and other aspects are to advise children to read the translation of the Quran, to read the biography, the seerah of the Prophet. For example, we have that book, Ar-Rahiq al-Maktoum. In English, we have the Seal Nectar. Then we can tell the students to read the stories of the Sahaba, right? The life history of the Sahaba, the biographies of Muslim personalities, historical personalities about the Muslim civilizations, right? To listen to good speakers, right? All these things. Apart from these things, if we do this, if the Islamic school teacher incorporates all these, one or more strategies while teaching, it would be a great benefit to Islam, to Muslims, and the society at large. So Jazakallah khair, and may Allah make your lessons and my lessons an inspiration and a gateway for your students to become great Muslim achievers. So here's the presentation, right? And if you have any questions, any queries, anything you want to share, inshallah, it would be most welcome. Any teachers in this session, if they would like to share some input or ask questions, they're most welcome. Yeah. Any queries? Any questions? Please raise your hand. There is one question.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum. Yes, sister.
Jazakallahu khair for the amazing session, sir. I have already done the Islamization of education from the IOU University, and I'm trying this in my school also. But right now, I was doing with the science and social sciences only, not doing with the maths and other subjects. Okay. But it was a very amazing session. Got a lot of tips from you. Thank you so much.
The main thing, sister, is to make it more common. Very few teachers, are making efforts in this field. So if you, I, and other Muslim teachers, if they make this more common, to the tarbiyah-based education, even the management of Islamic schools, if they get serious about tarbiyah-based education, so it would be great, inshallah. We pray to Allah that many people come together and work in this way, inshallah, to solve so many problems we face in a Muslim ummah. Jazakallah. Any other question? If there are no questions, then we can end the session, inshallah. And you can get my contact number. If any teacher, any educator, any Islamic school management, they want to get more information, to get more, answer your queries, inshallah, it would be most welcome. I am available. You can get my contact number, inshallah, and inshallah we'll work together to Islamize our education system, inshallah. So we end this session here. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.